Today, an elevator is the most common thing in the world. We step into it, press a button, check our phones, and don't even think about what's going on behind the walls of the cabin. It operates quietly, quickly, and almost always predictably. But when elevators first appeared, people perceived them as a dangerous trap. And this was logical. The first elevators were simply platforms suspended on a cable. There were no automatic brakes, no backup systems, and no safety-first philosophy. If the cable broke, the cabin would fall, and no amount of fancy words would help. Gravity always wins the argument. The idea of lifting loads upward has been around for thousands of years. Even in ancient civilizations, pulleys, ropes, winches, and simple cranes were used to lift water, stones, and goods. In ancient Rome, similar mechanisms might have been used even in large buildings, but they were still freight elevators, not elevators for people. People were discouraged from using them for a simple reason. The mechanics were crude, the cables wore out, and any mistake meant injury. Therefore, elevators couldn't truly become widespread until proper fall protection was developed. When passenger elevators first appeared in the 19th century, people had a very simple idea. I'm standing in a box hanging from a cable. If the cable breaks, I fall. And here's another thing. People can't see the mechanism. They can't see the motor. They can't see the fastenings. They can't see what's happening above. They simply stand inside and hope the engineers are right. And people don't trust what they don't understand. Therefore, the elevator was long perceived as a strange, dangerous innovation, especially for luxury buildings, hotels, and stores that desperately wanted to impress guests with the technology of the future. The key figure in this story is Elisha Otis. He didn't invent the elevator, but he achieved the most important thing. He figured out how to prevent the cabin from falling if the cable snapped. In 1853, he introduced the automatic braking system. The principle was ingeniously simple. The cabin moves along guides, and if the cable tension is lost, special claws or locks extend and catch on the guides. In other words, the cabin locks itself and stops. No electronics, pure mechanics that react instantly. Otis understood. People don't need blueprints. They need to see. At a public demonstration, he ascended the cabin to a height and ordered the cable cut. The crowd expected a fall, but the cabin stopped. And at that moment, for the first time, people began to feel, okay, maybe this really is safe. After that, elevators began to spread much faster because the main problem wasn't the motor, but trust. A modern elevator almost always operates on the rope and counterweight principle. The elevator car is suspended by steel cables, and on the other end of these cables hangs a counterweight, a heavy block that typically weighs approximately the same as the empty car plus some of the load. This counterweight eliminates the need for the motor to lift the entire weight. It essentially compensates for the difference. This saves energy and makes for a smooth ride. Safety is also multi-layered. There's a speed limiter if the car accelerates too much, brakes, guides, automatic door controls, and interlocks to prevent the elevator from moving with the doors open. Modern systems incorporate so many safeguards that an elevator crash is more of a movie plot than reality. There's a fact that perfectly explains the importance of the elevator. Without elevators, there would be no skyscrapers. Before elevators, the most expensive apartments and rooms were on the lower floors. Walking to the upper floors was difficult and time-consuming. The elevator changed everything. The upper floors became the most prestigious because they were quieter, the air was cleaner, and the views were better. The elevator literally verticalized cities. The funniest thing is, people were afraid of the elevator, but they walked calmly along creaky stairs and wooden floors. The elevator was scary, not because it was the most dangerous thing, but because it was new and unfamiliar. And here's the bottom line. Today, we're nervous not about a cable breaking, but because the elevator closes its doors too slowly. An elevator isn't just a cabin between floors. It's a technology that has changed architecture, cities, and lifestyles. And all of this became possible because one man, Elisha Otis, invented a simple and ingenious safety mechanism. Sometimes progress isn't 1,000 features, but one right idea that finally makes people say, okay, I'm going in. And that's how the history of the elevator began.